Creatures have survived on Earth for 600 million years. They've struggled through changing conditions and extremes of climate. They survive by knowing when to hide or run, when to fly or hunt. Each animal is armed with survival tactics. There are virtually no exceptions to the rules. Survival requires water to drink, food, oxygen, protection from the elements, and ways to fend off attack. It's all designed to make one thing possible: a new generation which will in turn struggle to survive. The fight for survival has led to countless strategies. It's not necessarily the biggest, fastest, or even strongest that survive. It could be the wiliest, like the fox. An old story describes this master of deception. The fox plays dead, and the ploy attracts a flock of hungry birds. But the fox turns the tables, and the would-be predators become the prey. Actually, a fox is more likely to survive thanks to its keen eyes, ears, and nose. And a fox can outrun and outjump a rabbit. For many creatures, life begins as an egg. An eggshell is so tough it can take a serious squeeze at both ends without breaking. It's a survival capsule. The shell protects the new life. Not surprisingly, in most cultures, the egg stands for birth and renewal. Eggs come in a variety of shapes and sizes, including some that are virtually invisible. And they turn up in all sorts of places. They flood ponds, hang on leaves, or get tied to seaweed by a garland of green. Starting life as a hatchling can be perilous, especially for the greenback turtle. The mother swims across 4,000 kilometers of ocean in order to lay her eggs and bury them in the sand. She lays the eggs under cover of darkness. But the baby turtles hatch in daylight, because although they can't see the nearby ocean, its brightness tells them which way to scurry. If the egg meant safety, this means danger. Only 1 in 1,000 baby turtles survives to reach the deep ocean. It's a similar struggle on the African plain. Newborn wildebeest face a perilous journey almost from the moment of birth. The calf must first find its breath, then its feet. To survive, it must walk within 5 minutes and run as fast as an adult within a day. That's 60 kilometers an hour. A marsupial baby has an easier ride from birth. A baby kangaroo spends 8 months in its mother's pouch, then another 4 months bouncing along by her side. According to legend, surviving birth may mean trial by fire. In ancient Egypt, the phoenix lived 500 years. It died in a fire, but out of the ashes came a new bird. Just as the sun seemed to be reborn each morning, so the phoenix was a symbol of renewal. Each new generation must learn the strategies of survival. Future hunters must quickly master the attack skills they'll need in order to kill their own food. Young chamois practice their prancing because the movements are a good way to deter predators. Gorillas learn to communicate as part of their survival training. Some signals calm tempers, others show who's boss. These foxes are play fighting. The mother is encouraging her young to hunt further afield so they can leave home, the only chance that all may have enough to eat. Food is essential to any creature's survival. Scavengers like the fox are always on the lookout for a good meal. They can eat almost anything: fruit, fish or fowl. Wherever there are humans, there are often foxes. It's no surprise they're featured in the myths and legends of survival. In Japan, the white fox was believed to be the messenger of Inari, the god of crops and wealth. Offerings of soybean and curd were left for the messenger in the hope of pleasing him. Scottish legend says that a king, Robert the Bruce, learned perseverance from a determined spider. He watched it struggle to build a web and succeed. Inspired by its tenacity, the king raised a Scottish army and led them to defeat the English. Perseverance is a hallmark of great survivors. Like the spider, the tick is patient. It can wait for up to 3 years for its victims. It's the smell of butyric acid sent out by all mammals that's the signal for a hungry tick. Once gorged with blood, it drops off and starts searching for a place to nest. Scavenging is an easy option if you're patient. An African vulture may fly 100 kilometers for a meal. It's sight, not smell, that guides the birds to the flesh. In East Africa, it's said that the spirits of the dead survive and show in the luminous eyes of those that ate them. Feeding is even easier for some sharks, who remember exactly when and where albatross chicks take to the air and water every season. Many chicks are lost, but those birds that do escape live for up to 30 years, ensuring the survival of the species. For many animals, the means of survival doesn't just fall into their jaws. Food requires hunting, in packs or groups. Harris hawks rely on teamwork. One sits in wait while others harry the prey. Once they've got it disorientated, this unlucky rabbit doesn't stand a chance. Communal hunting increases the chance of success, but it does mean sharing the spoils. Many hunters can do the job alone. A cheetah sizes up a herd of wildebeest looking for a weak or slow animal. A cheetah can outrun a gazelle, reaching speeds of more than 90 kilometers an hour and covering 7 meters in a single bound, though its stamina is limited, so it can ill afford a miss. Cheetahs hunt with flair, but elusive prey also demonstrate a flair for survival. The fox is famous for its ability to shake off pursuers. In some cultures, legend has it that a fox can transform itself into a beautiful woman. Then only a mirror will reveal the true nature of the beast. Deceit is a common craft in nature. The bolus spider tricks many a male moth by dangling a sticky droplet which smells like a female moth. The ploy means death for the would-be suitor. The snapping turtle is also trained in the art of deception. Its pink tongue seems a juicy worm to a hungry and unlucky fish. A zebra's stripes are likely to confuse. A predator has to look twice or more to distinguish an individual amidst this display. A fish too can try to survive by getting lost in a crowd. A patrolling penguin can be a bit baffled by the swarm. A slower mover may develop subtle camouflage. With a top speed of just 1 kilometer an hour, a sloth moves so slowly that algae can grow in its fur. Truly remarkable camouflage can be the secret to survival. Things are not always what they seem. And in nature, a good survivor is often a good actor. The play is the thing that saves some creatures' lives. Gazelles ham it up. They perform a dance known as stotting. It's meant to persuade predators that they're too fit to attack. Some hunters are not convinced. A ringed plover pretends to have a broken wing. The deception lures predators away from its young. Hermit crabs dress up in some outlandish costumes. A sea anemone makes a great disguise, plus its poisoned tentacles discourage visitors. And acting the part of a snake is a good plan if you're a small and vulnerable caterpillar. Not everything in nature is stage-struck. The tortoise may not be much of an actor, but its costume makes a great defense. The idea of a shell of armor was copied by the Roman legions. It helped them survive as they conquered an empire. Nature was first to design armor, and many a weapon as well. A horn shark carries a sharp spike at the base of its fin. Small but effective. The angel shark's got no stomach for it. Surviving the jaws of a conger eel calls for drastic action. The aptly named pufferfish is a fighter, and poisonous as well. A balloon full of trouble best spat out. A hedgehog has its own protective gear. 5,000 needle-sharp spines. And its loose skin lets it roll itself up like a ball. But times change. And an ancient instinct to curl up and hope for the best isn't the most effective defense against modern threats. Bright colors advertise the poison arrow frog. Eat me, the colors read, and you'll regret it. The frog's name came about because jungle hunters use its deadly poison to tip their arrows. Charles Darwin was fascinated by the ways animals survive. How had they developed? As a young man, he traveled the world and visited the Galapagos Islands. Darwin studied the giant tortoises and the finches busy scavenging for parasites under the shells. He noticed that some finches preferred other food. Looking more closely, Darwin realized that the birds had beaks matched to the kind of food they ate. His conclusions made science history. that over many generations, successful species have relied on adaptations that make them best fitted to the surroundings. It's the survival of the fittest. Hummingbirds have adapted to the flower species available. Some have bills long enough to get at nectar no other creature can reach. They can remain perfectly stationary while hovering, their wings beating 78 times a second. They can even fly backwards. Animal adaptation is the key to long-term survival. There are some places on Earth that have pushed adaptation to the limit. Extreme conditions can lead to extreme solutions. In the deep Canadian winter, the grey tree frog survives locked in solid ice. It unfreezes with no ill effects as the snow melts. Cold isn't necessarily a killer. The Arctic fox has learned to use the freezing tundra like a freezer. Stolen eggs go into cold storage. Its pelt is so effective, the fox doesn't even start to shiver until the temperature falls to -60 Celsius. Weddell seals survive closer to the South Pole than any other mammal. Many die not from the cold, but because they wear out their teeth making holes in the ice. Without teeth, they can't catch food, let alone eat it. The largest carnivore on land is equipped to survive in the far north, the Arctic. The polar bear has fur everywhere except for its nose and foot pads. Females and their young shelter in specially dug ice caves. A similar technique has saved human lives. In 1911, one of the few survivors of Scott's ill-fated Antarctic expedition owed his life to an ice shelter. It enabled him to endure temperatures of -60 Celsius. But the human body has limits. Underwater, lack of oxygen and high pressure mean it's a world that defies exploration unaided. We can survive for little more than 3 minutes without air tanks to a depth of 120 meters at most. Gannets, though creatures of the air, have mastered the underwater world, the source of their food supply. Gannets have tapered bodies and long pointed bills. And they have enough time, energy and air to squabble over a meal underwater. The ocean's depths host fish with monstrous survival skills. Some have huge jaws held open all day and all night. 10 kilometers deep is the lower limit of animal life, and about 10 kilometers above sea level is the upper limit. Here too, there's a shortage of oxygen. Geese can fly as high as a cruising airliner to cross the Himalayas, but they need to increase their breathing rate by as much as 20 times to get enough oxygen. Humans don't survive such altitudes well, not without an aeroplane around them. In the 16th century, when Mughal warriors invaded Tibet, they were struck by a mysterious illness, extreme sleepiness and severe headaches. Today, we call the illness altitude sickness. Where air is thin and temperatures freezing, the alpine scorpion has developed the same technique as the Canadian grey tree frog. After a winter trapped in the ice, it comes to life with the warming rays of the sun. Scorpions are among the most successful predators. They thrive in extreme environments, at cold heights and in baking deserts. African deserts are home to a legendary survival specialist, the camel. At temperatures that make a human stop perspiring and pass out, a camel is just starting to sweat. One of the camel's secrets of success is its hump. It's not a water supply, it's a store of fat that slowly breaks down to provide nutrients during a long journey. And a camel knows how to make the most of a chance for a refill. It can down 40 litres of water without a pause. In southwest Africa, where water is scarce, the head-standing beetle does just that. When moist air from the ocean meets hot desert air, fog develops. The beetle simply lets moisture condense on its legs and body and drip into its mouth. Foxes can be found in some deserts. The fennec fox's large ears help it cool down, hear its prey, or alert it to danger. Some creatures are inveterate survivors. The cockroach has remained almost unchanged for more than 320 million years, living through asteroids, volcanoes, earthquakes, even nuclear fallout. But sudden change can mean the end of a species. Whatever the exact cause, the dinosaurs succumbed at a time of major change. They probably died out because they were unable to adapt to new conditions quickly enough. The dodo died out when humans came on the scene. A flightless bird, it just couldn't escape the invasion. Such specialized creatures couldn't compete with adaptable species like rats, which followed humans wherever they went. The fox survives on its own. Other dogs, descended from wolves, thrive because they became domesticated. Life continues in the most unexpected places. Flamingos survive in hot volcanic soda lakes. Here, flamingos live for 50 years or more. They stand in water which would scald a human and can drink liquid that's too hot even for them to stand in. Yet birds are not forced to stay in one region where conditions may prove unsuitable. They can fly to more hospitable shores. They migrate. Their navigational skills seem miraculous. Birds use the sun and stars, the taste of the sea, and the sound of waves breaking on distant shores to guide them. There's nothing haphazard about migration. When grazing animals exhaust the food supply, they move on to fresh pastures. But with rain and the journey also come threats to survival. In East Africa, 2 million wildebeest move between wet and dry season ranges in a yearly trek. Predators are supplied with plenty of food. while many individuals don't survive, the herd will, year in, year out. True survival means survival of the species. Animals must pair up and reproduce. To get a mate, an animal may display the ultimate in feathers, or ferocity, in strength, or perseverance. Confidence helps, as sometimes thousands of males chase one female. Mating may call for self-sacrifice. The male tarantula risks death at the fangs of the larger, rapacious female. The unstoppable urge to reproduce so that the species will survive makes hares box. Larks sing. Rifled birds dance. And grebes walk on water. Life's survival plan is simple. Perform successfully every day and you live to reproduce. Then the young have a chance to do the same, even if it means having to perfect the controlled crash first. When animals produce a new generation, they pass on the key to survival's door. This is the formula. Have a family. It not only makes it all seem worthwhile, but it is true success. Survival not for the moment, but across time.